Welcome everybody to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. As you know, the 1 Million by 1 Million initiative is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million in annual revenue and beyond, and reach $1 trillion in global GDP and 10 million jobs by 2020. So you guys need to be very successful entrepreneurs for us to meet that objective. This is not something we can do on paper unless you guys become incredibly successful entrepreneurs. So this is our 133rd roundtable, and we are delighted to be in the room actually with the entrepreneurs in Boulder, Colorado. And Micah has arranged the event. She's on camera. Those of you who are looking at the public chat and the WebEx room, you can see Micah's smiling face. And we are recording the roundtable. You will have it available to, to share with your friends, to refer back to what was discussed and so forth. Also, if you want to live tweet, you're welcome to do that. Use the hashtag 1M1M. Our two handles are @1M by 1M and @Sramana. There will be some tweeting going on from those, and if you want us to retweet your stuff, just alert the @1M by 1M and @Sramana accounts and see what happens. We are going to start today with Compo Keeper. Wow, what a name. Christine Hess is the first presenter. Christine, please come and tell us what you're doing.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, so my name is Kristen Hess. I have a Boulder startup called Compo Keeper. We make indoor compost cans that are fresh and simple. So if you don't know about composting, it is the natural process of organic material breaking down into nutrient-rich soil. And food waste happens to be a very important feedstock for that process. Next slide, please. So in order to get your food waste from the kitchen to the outdoor bin, where the composting will inevitably take place, you have to deal with decomposing food inside. So it's pretty nasty. People don't want to deal with it. It stinks. It's messy. It's a hassle.
Yep.
So current methods right now for dealing with this are stylus countertop containers. Actually, go back to the last slide, please. So as you can see there in the middle, it's pretty small. Not really realistic for capturing a third of our waste stream, which is what food waste is. It involves high user involvement and needs to be emptied multiple times per week. Still, there's a problem. It's messy. People don't want to have to do extra work, and it's just not really realistic. So next slide. Our solution is the Compo Keeper, which is a realistic way to collect and store food waste inside. So essentially what it is a huge Ziploc bag that lines a waste container. It uses a compostable liner and seals and unseals the bag with either a hand lever or foot pedal, so your hands stay clean so you can work and work around the kitchen. So aside from its realistic size, you can see we have 3 different sizes for residential and commercial use. It is very effective at odor and pest control, and it's very easy to use. Next slide. So we have broken our target into 2 different segments. The first is our curbside composters. So like in Boulder, we have waste haulers that come to our homes to collect food and yard waste. So I'm going to kind of go through these quickly. I think the most important numbers to consider are the last 2. So the second from the bottom is the total market size that our products will serve. And the bottom number is a very small percentage of market share that we expect to get in the first year. So 7,500 units from these customers in year 1. Next slide.
Let me try to understand this. So you're talking about curbside composters and a very small percentage of the curbside composters market you want to target with your product.
In the first year, yeah, just a very conservative number for the first year, but we want to get, we expect taking into consideration age, income, and also that only about 70%, well, pretty big percentage, but are looking for a better product and what's already out there.
Okay.
So the second segment are backyard composters. Those are people who are going to do it themselves. They're going to take on a project and create compost in their own backyard. And again, the last two numbers are the most important here, where 3.08 million is the market that we see that will buy our products. And the first year, a very small market share of 2,500 units sold. So between these two markets, we expect 10,000 units to sell in the first year, which leaves us with huge potential to gain more market share in these segments. And also, it is an exponentially growing market as zero waste and sustainable agriculture become higher priorities for the nation. So our target customer, she is a busy working mom. She's interested in health and exercise. She's aware of environmental concerns and wants to set a good example by taking advantage of composting, curbside composting services, or doing it in her own backyard. Next slide. So we have a really great team. We've put our heart and soul into this project. We have the entrepreneurial and management experience, the skills, the passion, and the support we need to make this a successful venture. Next slide. So as I mentioned before, our competition is primarily made up of small countertop pails, which are about 1 to 2 gallons in storage capacity, and the Combo Keeper is 3.5 to 13 gallons in our current product line. I think the biggest competitive advantage that our competitors have are the sleek, modern style, so they make it really attractive for people who will then want to display it in their kitchen. But really the best use is for people who, 1 to 2 people who are primarily recycling fruit and vegetable peelings. So if you take, for instance, in Boulder, we have curbside collection that takes any type of food waste, so fish, bones, meat, dairy, etc. So can you imagine cleaning out your refrigerator and or scraping off your leftovers from Thanksgiving dinner into one of these containers? Probably not. And so what happens is there's still a large percentage of food waste that goes into trash cans and or down the garbage disposal, which is the whole point of composting, is to avoid doing that. So our product, we have a realistic size for our customer. It's easy to use, less of a hassle, and it is effective at odor control, where our competition is only moderately effective at odor and pest control. They're much smaller. They need to be taken out much more frequently. And they take up countertop space. You're putting your waste on your counter where the rest of your food and everything else goes. It's kind of unsanitary and inconvenient. Next slide. So I'm just kind of going to breeze through this. We have a product that is kind of typical for product customer acquisition. We'll be focusing a lot on creating distribution partnerships. Next slide. So far we have made 30 orders this year, and that's with only our homemade website and some YouTube videos. We're not aggressively advertising because at this point our production process, we can make 1 unit in 5 hours, so we're not making a profit. We have sent out a number of samples to industry leaders, experts, and distributors, and have gotten 7 support letters and consistent interest once we get our commercialized model. So that brings us to our next slide. Our options are we do have to raise money to get better in the manufacturing field. We can raise $150,000, which will enable us to buy our own machines and tools we need to continue manufacturing ourselves, but much more efficiently. We expect to produce 1 unit per hour in this way. We will continue to be able to produce all 3 sizes, which is great, but our production capacity will be about 4,000 units per year for 1 person. So take into consideration we are trying to sell 10,000 in the first year, and that's with a very small percentage of the market share for our customers in the different segments. So the next option, actually go back to the next slide, or the last slide, please. We would need to raise $475,000 to do injection molding. So that would cover the tooling that we need, the materials, would also help us invest in product design so we can compete with our competitors as far as on the aesthetic quality of the product. We would only be able to make one container at that price, but our production capacity would be about 25,000 units per year for one. So that's where our question lies. Do you think we should bootstrap it at first and then raise money again later to do injection molding and grow to scale? Or should we just focus all of our efforts on getting the injection molding process set up? That kind of answers the second question. Another question I have that's not listed is how to incentivize distributors. And then lastly, what more besides financial information do investors need to see to invest?
So the question to bootstrap or not to bootstrap is there's no option. You will have to bootstrap because no investor is going to fund this company at this stage. So one of the questions that you may want to consider is, what if you were not doing the manufacturing in-house? Have you talked to other people who can do the manufacturing for you? This is not a complex product to manufacture. There are lots of people who can manufacture this product for you. And most entrepreneurs who start with businesses such as yours use outside manufacturers to do their manufacturing. So, and with how much does that drop your capital requirements down to get the product to market? So, you know, you're starting with a $150K capital requirement option. Can you drop that down substantially if you were to be able to do this with manufacturing, with outsourced manufacturing? That's number one. Number two is you can look into a site. This is a website called Quirky. It's spelled Q-U-I-R-K-Y. Are you familiar with Quirky?
I am, yeah.
Have you looked into that?
We have, and we don't think it's a good fit for us. We would like to make a business out of it, and there's the percentage of products I think that actually go through is just pretty small. So it's not a preferred option for us.
Okay. In that case, you're going to need to find a manufacturing partner who can do this for you so that your capital requirements drop substantially. And you're going to have to build it organically. The investors, the kinds of investors we work with, will never fund a project like this. Pretty much my view.
What about the incentives that distributors want to see? Do you have any ideas about that?
You know, my feedback on that would be to do e-commerce. Do e-commerce and do customer. I've seen a lot of interesting new products come to market by just selling online and acquiring customers through search engine optimization and PPC. And that actually works. For new products, especially for little companies like yourself that are starting to break into the market, that is one of the smartest and most efficient ways to get into the market. And it costs nothing these days to set up an e-commerce site. And you can start with a small inventory. You don't have to have any large inventory, nothing.
All right. So one more question. So you said investors just won't invest in us at this point. Why? Why not?
Oh, you know, the kind of investors we work with, they're almost all entirely looking for technology products of some sort with some sort of a technology advantage, or, you know, internet businesses or something that has some defensibility. And the other thing is, there is a class of investors that would invest in something like this, which are the banks. Now, for banks to invest in your product, you need to show a kind of a P&L that is working, that you are able to sell something and you have a certain amount of, you know, track record. And until you develop that, banks are not going to lend to you. So in neither direction can I find somebody who's willing. A Kickstarter that you said you were working with, Kickstarter may be a place where you can raise some money, but raising large amounts of money on Kickstarter is harder, much harder. You can raise it. That's why I was saying if you can drop the capital requirement and perhaps raise money through friends and family or Kickstarter or something like that, that may work to get your project off the ground. But I think you need to adjust your expectations to what you can do with your own money or friends and family money or Kickstarter kind of financing without expecting large chunks of angel financing to come into your business right now. This is not the kind of business that gets funded by angels.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks.
You're welcome. Next. Lopa Brunhes, the biochar company, biocar company. How do you say it, Lopa?
Yes, Brunier, you're right on that, and biochar company, yes, that's correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, you too. Thanks for the time. So I could actually spend most of my time explaining what biochar is, because I imagine that most people don't know what it is, but a really short nutshell, biochar is charcoal that's added to soil. It's based on ancient Amazonian practices. It sequesters carbon and increases water and nutrient retention in the soil, increases crop yields between 15 and 200% depending on original soil quality. And it is, what I've been involved in this industry for about 5 years, and it is what I believe will become kind of the next compost, something that people add to their soil to permanently improve it, so it actually lasts for a lifetime, up to hundreds of years. So this being a brand new, nascent, and very complex market and industry with a lot of potential, our model is also admittedly somewhat complex. We actually have B2B as well as B2C activities. I'd say it's primarily B2B, but it all hinges on the B2C. So we have an exclusive license for one of the only commercially available and viable biochar technologies. That's based out of, they're a company from Australia, and we have the North American distribution license. So we are selling that technology with a very good margin, but a long sales process. We have biochar project development consulting services, and then we are also selling biochar to businesses as well as direct to consumers. Next slide. Our customers and our value offering, technology sales, we're basically looking for the pain of having to pay a tipping fee to get rid of some type of biomass waste. So the value offering for them is that we offer sustainable, profitable biomass waste management. And this can be organizations from municipal waste management to mid-sized agriculture and larger, but right now mid-sized makes the most sense, forest management organizations, food processing plants. So where we get feedstock such as fruit pits and nutshells and things like that. And then for biochar sales, we are providing the value offering of improving ROI on soil. This can be for farmers, nurseries and horticultural operations, soil blending companies, green roof developers as well. And then B2C, we have a branded product called Soil Reef, acts like a coral reef for the soil. And it offers increased water and nutrient retention, increased crop yields, and there's also an environmental contribution because they're actually, the carbon that's in the biochar is almost a pure carbon product, and it stays sequestered for on the order of hundreds of thousands of years. And so,
how big is this company?
What's that?
How big is the company?
We are right now 8 people.
Oh, well, how much revenue do you have?
This year, we're looking at about $250K, and most of that is from B2B activities.
B and B2, where does that revenue come from, B2B or B2C? Which of these 3 areas does the revenue come from?
B2B, mostly B2B at this point. We are just starting to do market testing with the B2C product.
Why?
A lot of our Why?
Yes.
Why are we?
Yes. Why are you doing B2C without completing the B2B? A small company cannot be in B2B and B2C. B2C marketing is expensive.
Right, right. We're doing that because the price point is relatively high, and we think that if we can build the market for the B2C, that we can then increase our B2B activities. The price point's a little bit out of the range for most farmers, and the science is a little bit nascent in terms of being able to exactly quantify the ROI for most B2B customers. So, for example, a nursery or a farmer is going to say, well, how much water am I going to save? How much crop yield are we going to see? And because there's so many variables in soil science, it can be, well, it depends on the crop, it depends on the, the application rate, it depends on the climate, So we can't exactly say this is what you're going to see as your return. So we're hoping to build a B2C market to sort of kind of catch up to the so that when the science catches up to our ability to sell B2B more effectively.
And you think B2C is going to just buy it without asking any questions? Do you think that's a realistic assumption?
We're targeting people who are going to be more inclined to make a purchase based on environmental contribution. And no, they're not going to buy it without asking questions. And that's something
not
that we...
without asking questions. From what you've said to me so far, I think you would, if I were you, I would shelf the B2C strategy and just focus on B2B and really quantifying the ROI on B2B. And since that's where all your revenues are, you obviously have clients who have, invested in buying this product and, trying to use it, and you need to work with them to get the ROI case studies going and go back and sell into that market. You have validation in that market. You have no validation in B2C.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I waste a lot of money, time, energy, resources in trying to go into B2C without really following through on the B2B, where you have got some validation. $250K in revenue is not a joke. So you've got some real validation on the B2B side, and I would stay focused on the B2B side.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that changes a little bit of the presentation, but that's very useful feedback. Thank you. And I probably could have guessed that you might have suggested that. And one of the things that we also have been considering is actually splitting them into two separate companies, and actually having the B2C side be an off-take partner for the B2B side, so that if one of them fails, they're not hinged together so much. In terms of proving our value, so we've got two pilot projects. One's in Kauai, one is in Alberta. The objective there is to build B2B and B2C biochar sales channels to justify commercial scale-up into larger pilots or larger projects that would also have multiple revenue streams, including carbon credits and energy. Next slide. So our target customer for B2C, which we can probably just skip over, this is the eco-conscious homeowners ages 34 to 65. B2B technology sales, we are doing direct sales to SMEs who pay tipping fees to manage biomass waste. We first sold to these two pilots and have a few more in the pipeline. We're looking for an operations manager who is experiencing the pain of, one, managing that biomass, and two, seeing how much it costs to do that on a regular basis. For biochar sales, we're doing direct sales to sustainability-driven nurseries and soil blenders, and those sales are small at this point. And one of the challenges is that we're still trying to prove that biochar market and the ROI that's available there. Next slide.
Which of these are generating the $250K in revenue right now?
Technology sales and project development.
And who is buying technology from you?
We have one is a municipal waste management organization in Alberta, Canada, and they're going to be doing it alongside their composting operation. And the other is a 3,700-acre farm in Kauai that is going to be using a teak plantation with a number of different co-plantings, and they're going to be using their waste wood. And
so I would further focus on technology sales and forget about the direct sales to the nurseries, because the nurseries are small businesses, and selling to a lot of nurseries very small size deals is a very different business than selling sizable deals to the technology, to the large farms or to the municipal waste management companies. And I would focus on
Sure. I do understand that. One of the challenges is, though, in order to make those projects viable, we need to be selling the biochar off the back end because that's one of the primary revenue streams. The project at this point, the energy value is not going to justify the project, and we are trying to build a biochar market as well, just because that's sort of the values and the vision that's behind this all, because we believe in the value of it improving the soils.
You can believe in whatever you want. You're going to have to sustain yourself as a business.
Sure. Yeah, the technology that we have.
Right now, what I see here is a tendency to boil the ocean. And you're going to boil the ocean. You're going to do B2C. You're going to do the small nurseries, which is a B2 small business strategy. Then you're going to do this kind of enterprise sale, large farms, and your municipal waste, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you're 8 people. How much can you do?
Not very much. It feels like too much right now. That's for sure.
and when you try to do too much with a very small team, you don't do anything well.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. I'm hearing you. Thank you. I think we can just skip this. Yeah. Customer validation becomes one of our challenges. We've been mostly focused on on this challenge of how do we actually build the B2C and the B2B biochar sales market. But there is no proven market, so how do we test customer validation? Our number one challenge is how to create a market for a product that ultimately nobody knows exists yet. There is a historical analog.
The way to sell this is you've got this municipal waste management project going on, right, with one client. Yeah. You take that as a reference account and go to other municipal waste management companies or organizations and show them what you're doing in this one client and start selling into the municipal waste market. That's how you build the product. You educate that segment of the market where you are seeing traction, and you go sell into that particular segment of the market. If you want to do the large farm market, you've got a reference customer, and you use that and learn from that and sell into that market. So it's basically direct selling.
Okay, great.
This is not the time where you're not Coca-Cola. You're not going to build a brand by, consumer marketing kind of techniques. This is going to be educating, especially when you're doing a new product. You have to educate in a very tight, segmented manner.
Right.
Just your target customers.
Right. Makes sense.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Sharif Yusuf, I give first. So folks, while Sharif is coming on to do his presentation, you can see that this is not very pussyfooting kind of feedback, right? This is very direct, very hardcore feedback. So I hope you have the stomach for it.
I do. I'm up for all input.
All right, go ahead. Your turn.
Go ahead and go to the next slide.
Yeah.
So overall, I give first. Broken down, the most simplistic version is we make giving as easy as liking or tweeting. So as we see the like button that allows us to share things with friends and family, tweet is coworkers and fans, and give is really how do we apply to charitable good and make an impact throughout the world. Next slide. By the numbers, just from an overview perspective, there are about 2.3 billion internet users in the world. 245 million of those are in the United States. Overall, if you look at the total online giving, or total giving overall, for charity within the United States, last year it was 346 billion. 75% of that comes from individual contributions, and the problem that we're really fixing is only 6.3% of all online donations are coming in online. So what we're really trying to do is create, and not necessarily create as much as build an online giving brand, and the way we plan on building that is by distribution of buttons throughout mainstream media publications. Next slide. So I usually don't go into the customer segmentation as much when we're talking, especially with investors. I put a few slides in here just to explain that we do have a clear understanding of what that looks like. I have 15 years in data from an experience perspective, so I understand segmentation very well, working for Axiom, Experian, and TransUnion. Really who we're targeting is globally conscious consumers. They're 63% younger, about 60% are interested in green and socially responsible items, and what we figured out is, according to Cause Evolution, 80% of consumers will switch or try new brands based on associating it to a cause they care about. Next slide. So what this does is it breaks down really what do they care about and what are they willing to do if they do care about it. So as you see on the far right, I think, or second to the right there is North America. So, 64% of people will buy more products. They'll work for them. They'll invest in them. Really, the key piece is we have a new generation, which is under 40, that is very socially minded, that cares about what companies are doing and how they are approaching not only their back end and being socially responsible from an operational standpoint, but also from the front end and what they're doing with the monetary revenue. Next slide. I'm not going to go into the details of this slide, obviously. What this is they broke down, and when I say they, this is from Nielsen. It was a report that was released in March 2012. They broke down consumers by what I would call cause category or social category and what they really care about. And what you'll notice is everything hovers right around that 40 to 50% range, and that's really what we're targeting is new digital audiences that have that are socially minded, that are looking for places to not only track but also give back on their own accord. Next slide. Another just explanation of, as this goes down, the opportunities from an advertising perspective. This is important for us because the Give button, again, piggybacks on online and mainstream media publications. So in essence, really what it is, it's an advertisement. It's a Give button that is prompting them to, a Give button that is prompting them to donate or do something. And what you're seeing here is the fact that the global average and the socially conscious consumer clicks more. So we know that there's something in there.
I think you're already far into this presentation, and I don't think anybody, I certainly do not, and nobody in the room understands exactly how this is going to work. So we understand people want to give, and you're trying to tap into that, but can you tell us how this thing works?
Yep, can you jump forward 2 slides for me? One more slide. So the way it works is we put a Give button that's right in line with other social media buttons. In each place you see a tweet or a share button, we want to have a Give button right next to it. The difference between, if you want to go to the next slide, the difference between share and tweet is share and tweet takes the existing context and applies that to a set network. We created an artificial intelligence algorithm that sits behind the context. So we understand the topic, tone, urgency, recency, and any nonprofits that were mentioned within the article. So when you click on that Give button, it gives you contextually relevant information that is directly associated to that context. Next slide. So the key piece is what we're doing is at the time of emotional impact, when people are reading something and they care about it most, we want to leverage that minute and that moment because we understand that emotion leads to action while reason leads to conclusion. It's what brands and marketers are really based around, along with media. Next slide.
I don't understand the connection between brands and the Give button.
So branding currently utilizes emotional connections with consumers. So if you think about Huggies, Huggies isn't going to tell you what the diaper's made out of and what kind of cloth is in there. They're not going to tell you the ingredients, but rather they're going to show a happy, smiling baby that's crawling around in diapers. The reason is...
What's it got to do with the Give button?
The very essence of the Give button is applied to an emotional connection. So when people read stories, we're giving them the ability to give to the stories that they care about. In essence, what we're doing is we aspire to be the world's first global giving brand. So if you think, where do you buy a book online? You go to Amazon. If you look where you're going to buy music, you're going to go to...
Anything in the presentation about what you're planning? What is your go-to-market strategy? Besides what you want to be, is there any business strategy here?
There is. So I talk more than I have slides, just because I'll walk through the business strategy as well. So overall, we take 8.5% of the transaction. Of the 8.5% of the transaction, 3.5% goes to payment processing and PCI Level 1 compliance, and the remaining comes to us from profit margin, where we actually pay for operations of both our for-profit and our nonprofit entity. The way we get the Give button placed onto the publisher sites is there's a sponsorship opportunity that they can basically increase their revenue streams and increase and monetize their traffic during disaster crisis and or high media traffic spots. So we went live.
Arif, let me try to understand what you're doing, because I don't think anybody understands what you're trying to do here. And that's very dangerous, because we have spent already almost 10 minutes on your presentation and nobody understands how this works. What evidence do you have that media companies are willing to put this give button on their site, and what's in it for them? You haven't told us that. That's a fundamental assumption in your business plan. What is that story? Why would media companies want to put the give button on their site? What's in it for them?
So there's sponsorship opportunities that they monetize. So we pay them to host the give button. We have 19 publications currently signed on, 9.1 million impressions on the give button. We just really started getting traction over the last month. We processed about $5,500 for the fires just yesterday alone. In the last couple weeks, we processed roughly 14,000. And we have KDVR, for example, Fox. We're talking to MSN, Bing, Yahoo, Media News Group, and Washington Post currently.
So who's sponsoring the give button? Who's paying media companies to put the give button and connect it to their site?
So the sponsorship opportunities, there are 5 global sponsorship opportunities. We're talking to WPP out of New York City, which is one of the largest ad agencies in the nation. So somebody like a Coca-Cola, somebody like a Petco, somebody like, I'm trying to think of some of the other customers, Best Buy, are looking to purchase those. However, we have not actually signed any sponsorships at this point.
So is this a branded give button? It's the Coca-Cola give button?
No, the give button looks the same every time. So it's an iconic, ubiquitous give button that allows people to set up what charities they would like to give to, or set it for automatic to do contextually relevant.
I'm a Coca-Cola, and if I sponsor a give button that doesn't have any of my brand on it, why would I want to sponsor this thing?
So when you click on the give button, the sub window appears. It's about the size of a share window. The first panel are nonprofits that are related to the article. The second panel is the sponsorship panel. So every time somebody clicks the give button, Coca-Cola would be branded. As well, they would also be associated to all the dashboards, all the websites, PR releases, and so forth. So it would really be a go-to-market strategy that's inclusive of everything. Everywhere we are, they would be as well.
Okay. So my first feedback to you is that this presentation doesn't work at all. It took me almost 15 minutes to get to this essential piece of the equation. So I would start with that. What is a give button? A give button is something that goes on a publisher's site, and a sponsor pays for this give button. Show exactly how it works. Open up, show how a give button sits on some publisher's site. What happens when you click? It opens up into maybe some sort of a box where there is on the left panel, there are the nonprofits that you can give to that are related to that article. And on the right panel, there is the brand sponsor, whoever is sponsoring. So it's a form of advertising that has a philanthropic element to it. This is your presentation. You went on and on and on about how many people want to give. Irrelevant.
So the reason I went how many people wanted to give is after researching you, I know how important customer segmentation is, so I front-loaded the presentation contrary to what I would normally pitch.
But I mean, I can't even, if you don't give me what you are doing, and not just me, I'm giving you feedback in terms of you're going to have to do this presentation to lots of people, right, to explain what you're doing. And people don't stay with you. I am staying with you, and I'm trying to understand what you're doing. People will dismiss you. If you don't grab them within the first minute, they don't want to, they're going to gloss over and they're going to be done with you. You've got to get your point across in the first minute of what is it that you're doing. And here the presentation is full of why it's, I mean, you're trying, you know what I got out of your presentation is philanthropy is a great thing. Well, I know philanthropy is a great thing. You don't need to tell me that.
Yep. Again, I was catering to customer segmentation, specifically around your past and history of what you folks around. You
can't do customer segmentation without first telling what the hell it is you're doing.
Point taken. Point taken.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Passion Forward Maternity. Erin Lewis, next presenter.
Well, I have to admit, I'm not sure I want to go after that. How are you today?
I'm good.
Okay. Well, I do want to tell you a little bit about our company, which is a live and growing company today at about 15 to 25% every month. We've been in active revenue business now for about 6 months.
We've been getting a lot of really great press and everything around it, but there's a lot to the company. So to preface, Forward Maternity is the solution to what every woman in America faces when she gets pregnant, which is that she is all of a sudden limited to a very small wardrobe of possibly borrowed clothes that are in terrible condition or very expensive clothes that are very bad quality. What we offer is a rent-a-runway or Netflix model, an online monthly rental of the top 25 brands in the world so that the woman can have exactly the clothes she wants, exactly when she needs them, as her body grows and develops throughout her pregnancy and her nursing months. We also then create, pardon?
This is a great idea.
Thank you very much. This is something that was born out of my own personal experience. I am a mother of two, as are both of my co-founders. We also talked to hundreds of women before we launched this business to make sure that we had a viable business, both from a marketing standpoint, financial standpoint, and really trying to make sure that this was something that women would really want. And after all of that research, we came up with a pricing model based on a basic demand curve of what women had spent previously during their pregnancies. These are professional women who generally are making between $50,000 and $150,000 a year, who plan to return to work after the baby is born. We can go further than that if you want on segmentation, but trust me that we've done quite a bit there. What we have come up with is $23.50 a month as a flat, easy rate, no matter what the piece of clothing is, whether it's a $100 blouse or whether it's a $200 pair of designer jeans. The woman can rent on a per-month basis for $23.50 a month. If she orders a wardrobe, which is really where we try to specialize throughout the entire pregnancy, 10 items or more, she'll get a 10% discount. And our affiliate members, which we are in the process of signing up now, these are yoga studios, OBGYN offices, employee discount programs, quite a few different sections there. The average affiliate member will pay $19.97 a month. They get a discount, and the employer either gets a kickback to them. The yoga studio would get a small fee, finder's fee, basically, affiliate fee, or potentially, depending on the affiliate, we also have the option to donate that money to charity. What women get is they... This
affiliate is the right way to market this. I like the idea, but I'm not sure I like your go-to-market strategy.
I'll go into that in just a moment a little bit deeper to help justify it for you. Okay. What women get in this is they get 3 to 4, possibly even 5 times the variety that they could otherwise afford. If they buy one pair of designer jeans early in their pregnancy, the likelihood is they will outgrow it before they're at the end of their pregnancy. And that's going to keep them from buying the clothes that they really wanted. They're going to shop at Target or Old Navy instead.
Your value proposition to the consumer is very well thought through. And there's actually validation on this. I don't know if you've seen, I can't remember the name of the company, but there's a company that does rental of baby clothing.
Yes. Yes, and actually there's a few. There's Plum. We're actually in talks right now with their investors. There's also Toyaroo, who's doing it with baby toys. We have the ability to reach that same audience earlier, and we could even move into those adjacencies with time. So this is a model that has been validated both with rent-a-runway on the online luxury model, handbags, baby clothes, toys. It's working well, and it's working well for maternity. Our site is professionally developed and with a very, very clean and crisp look. We've put a tremendous amount of effort into the look and feel and user interface of the site so that all of our clothes are on models. They are on multiple models, preferably of multiple ethnic backgrounds and different sizes, so some in the early stages of pregnancy, some in the late stages of pregnancy. But a woman can look through and really try to visualize herself in this. This is going to lead to the first question. I'm going to interrupt my own presentation to ask you the very first question, contrary to the normal flow. As long as we're here, one of the things that we are working very, very hard on is really making this a Web 3.0 product where it's really personalized for the woman. We're looking at some different technologies to try to basically dress the woman herself, or to use body doubles for different stages of pregnancy and different pre-pregnancy weights to try to throw or shrink the clothes to try to allow the woman to image what it might be. For instance, some of the shorter dresses might be to the knee on an early pregnancy, but to the mid-thigh on a late pregnancy, and we'd like to be able to show that. Do you have any experience or any resources that we might pursue that would help us find the best technology, or possibly even just some mentors in that space?
Well, I did a women's fashion company, so it's a space that I've known very well.
I didn't want to volunteer you to be my personal mentor, and but if you're willing, then I would be absolutely thrilled.
Oh, you're welcome to join 1M1M, in which case you can definitely tap into our expertise. But your question about the technology, have you done research on what's the state of the union on that kind of technology? I haven't, so I don't know what exactly is out there right now.
We've done some, and there is technology out there in the early stages to help dress a woman with her. Basically, it takes a camera similar to what we're using today and takes an image of the woman and it basically dresses her almost like a paper doll. The technology isn't quite there yet that I've seen, but I'm probably not on the cutting edge. I only see what's been released in press releases or demos online. And I didn't know if perhaps you'd seen something really interesting in the course of your work.
I haven't seen anything that I particularly like, to be honest with you, on that front.
I haven't seen anything yet, but we're looking, we're trying.
And okay. Part of the problem is that the technology provider business for this kind of work is not a huge market, so it's not getting a lot of really great technologists working on this problem. It will not get a lot of great technologists working on this problem. It's a very hard problem, technology-wise. From a technology problem point of view, it's a very hard problem. So you will not get great technology because the great technologies work on problems that have larger market opportunities.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, we'll go ahead on the presentation for now. Business development, and this is to your point, Sramana. The reason why we're going to the affiliates, we obviously have a strong direct-to-consumer marketing campaign. We are already being published in 3 dozen mom blogs. We have been on the morning TV shows in multiple cities. We've been on the Live Well Network. We have a large Facebook following and a Twitter following. All of these things are growing and strong. However, we realize that most women will only shop online. In fact, it's 67% of women will only shop online from a company that they have heard of and are comfortable with or has been referred to them by a friend. So with that, because this is a new market, renting maternity clothes online from someone you don't know has never really been done. And we are trying to create that personal touch.
I don't think that's going to be true. Every single startup concept on the internet starts with an unknown company doing something. Even Guild Group was an unknown company. All these baby clothing rental companies were unknown companies at one point. Obviously, they've built significant footprints. So I don't think that's an issue. I think you're doing the right things of getting written up in the right blogs and the right guerrilla PR strategy. That's perfect. So I don't think the unknown brand issue is a big issue on the internet.
Okay, that's interesting. We're actually finding that the referrals are actually sending us quite a bit of business at this point, even in the early stages.
Business-wise?
We have about 120 customers right now. We're getting 2 or 3 a day. We're growing at about 15 to 25% a month. We launched to the public in late January.
How much are you generating per month right now?
Revenue-wise, probably about $3,500.
Okay.
So I mean, still small, but growing every month.
But you're getting good validation. I think that's great. How much do you think is the maternity rental market based on your bottom-up TAM analysis?
The total maternity market is $1.2 billion a year. Half of that is currently owned by Destination Maternity, which owns every mall store in America. Pea in the Pod, Motherhood Maternity, et cetera, are all brands owned by Destination Maternity. The rest of that is broken up by some of the discounters and the boutiques. we believe, based on our market segmentation and our growth rate, that we can saturate the market, and in 5 years, we can be a $64 million a year company, reaching 7% of our target demographic, which is 1% of the total pregnancies in the U.S. per year. At that rate, we would be getting about a 20x return for our investors.
And what is your, that, by the way, that number, the TAM number that you just presented actually is small for venture investors.
It is.
But what are your operational inventory requirements? How much inventory do you have to carry, and how much cash do you need to manage that inventory scenario right now?
So great question, and one that I didn't get into on this presentation because of the limited time. But we currently have over $600,000 worth of inventory from a retail standpoint. We have bought that at wholesale or below wholesale because of our relationships with the designers themselves. We can, therefore, with that inventory, we can outfit 80 to 100 women. We would need to have about a quarter of our raise go to inventory, so there is significant inventory risk in the first year and a half. After that, we are not only cash positive, but profitable, right. And all additional inventory is funded through the normal operations of the business and through debt financing.
Good. Okay, I got more or less what I was trying to get to. I think this is a very promising business. It may not be a venture business necessarily, but it's a very promising business. You can build a very significant business out of this.
Thank you. I believe that is the case, and we're seeking angel investors. I have spoken with many venture capitalists who are interested in this, but in the polite way of venture capitalists, they would really be liking to be writing a $5 million check, and we're not at that point.
No, it's not a question of, I think it is not a venture, listen to me, it is not a venture business because you do not have a large enough total available market for this to be a venture business. I think that's what you're getting. People think it's a nice business, it's a very nice, very promising, you can build a very profitable, $20 million, $30 million business, maybe even $50 million business. But that's not what venture capitalists are looking for. Venture capitalists are looking to build $500 million, billion-dollar businesses.
Agreed, which is why we're looking at angels at this point.
But angels don't necessarily fund. Angels generally fund the same kinds of things that the VCs fund.
Okay, we're seeing some interest, but I hope that you're wrong because we really think that we can grow this a lot larger with a little help.
I'm asking to what you told me. You gave me the TAM number. I asked you what is the TAM number. You gave me the TAM number.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Now we do also have a strong team. I don't know if you want me to go into this detail or whether we need to move on.
I think we need to move on to the next presenter, but I like what you're doing, and I'll be more than happy to help you with what you're doing. It's a very promising opportunity.
Fantastic. The only other thing that I did want to leave with is that we believe that every woman deserves this, and that's not just the wealthy women who can afford our services. 100% of our clothes are donated at the end of their useful life, which we estimate to be about 8 months. And with an 80% gross margin business and an inventory that we can write off in the first year from a tax standpoint, there's no additional benefit other than the PR. But we donate 100% of the clothes to women's organizations, Dress for Success, Back to Work programs, women's shelters, and Operation Shower with the U.S. military. That's going to generate quite a bit of good publicity for us, but also helps make sure that this is a universal service for all women, and that's what we wanted to leave with.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. All right, econsciousmarkets.com. Boulder is an extremely environmentally conscious place, obviously.
I guess so. We're going to try to do it together. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
You're Pippa.
Hi, nice to meet you. Yes, I'm Pippa, and this is Elisa. Hello.
Hello.
We thought we'd give you 2 for 1. Okay, so now I go forward. So we go to the next slide. Okay, so this is basically, here we are. We're a green marketplace where people can purchase responsibly produced goods that support a just and sustainable world. One of our secret sauces is our philanthropic model. So we have a built-in donation to every product that we sell on the site. Next slide, please.
So just to give a little bit, and again, this is all very, very general, we feel like the opportunity here is to obviously satisfy this growing demand for ethically and ecologically produced goods. So we won't get into the details of the low-cost consumer and that there's a lot of interest in people purchasing what has been painted with a broad stroke as green products, but there's a large market out there, and our business model is trying to identify people who are not only interested in those goods, but are interested in a giving model at the same time. Next slide. Thanks.
So one of the, I guess you'd say our elevator pitch is that we want to be to Amazon what Safeway is to Whole Foods, or Whole Foods is to Safeway. So in our big picture mission is to be a green Amazon.
An e-commerce company selling green products.
We are e-commerce. It's only online. Currently, it's a drop ship model, and we are looking into raising some funds so we can do some warehousing and fulfillment.
Okay. One of the benefits to this is that we support those businesses and manufacturers that are implementing the triple bottom line practices. So we're trying to support businesses that are doing right with the products that they produce. Next slide.
There are, I'm just going to kind of have a talking point to those businesses. There's a lot of small green businesses that don't have distribution opportunities. To build their own little website and sell on their own site is very challenging. So what we want to be is sort of that point of that place where they know that we already have our customers, and that by being in our marketplace, our customers trust that we've done the research for them, that they are either a socially responsible or environmentally responsible product.
Specialty retail model. The specialty retailers generally work with wholesale manufacturers and curate the merchandise, and you do the merchandising for them. So conceivably, the first presenter, the compost can maker, can be one of your suppliers.
Okay. Yes, I wrote that down. She was doing her presentation. And it's a really wonderful option for those small retailers who want to focus on doing their business and not focus on doing e-commerce.
Small manufacturers. You are a small retailer. The small manufacturers sell through you.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
So when we started the company, actually back to the previous slide, please. We started as a nonprofit, and that was 5 years ago, and realized our original giving model was 50% of after-cost profits that we would give to nonprofits that were listed on our site. So we have basically, two different groups that we're working with: vendors, manufacturers, and nonprofits. Currently we have 100+ nonprofit partners, and we have about 222 vendors. And so when a customer goes onto our site, unfortunately I didn't put a slide of our actual website, but they basically purchase the product. It goes to the next page where it says medium, small, large t-shirt, and at that point we have a point of purchase donation amount that says, you pay $30 for this sweater, we give $3. Then there's a module where they get to choose the nonprofit that they want to donate to.
Okay.
So depending on, say that again?
How many customers do you have?
It's
variable.
So basically we started 5 years ago. We had our peak year in 2008. Recession hit, executive team kind of dismantled a bit. I got pregnant and kind of took off for 2 years. I'm coming back, and basically we have a new executive team that is trying to revive this business that really has been barely staying afloat for the last 2 years. And when we say that, we built all of the money that we raised originally, which is about $300,000, was put into the technology. So
it was built to run itself, and it has been running itself. But there's a lot of work at this point to remarket, revive, resurrect what we have at this point. So we're really trying to streamline and come back to market, because we've been kind of purposely staying very much under the radar.
In June 2012, how many customers do you have?
How do you define customers? I mean, when you say, as far as
you're buying products from your website. Your e-commerce site. So a customer is somebody who buys from your site.
Yeah. I would say for 2012, we would probably say about 50.
50.
Yeah. By month, it's variable. I'd say 5 to 10 people per month. There's been no marketing, no push on this really within the last 2 years. So we're a company that started 5 years ago that's really a startup, because it hasn't really had any love for the last couple of years.
Okay. All right. Got it.
So next slide.
Again, this is just, I won't get into detail here, just general information. So as Pip mentioned, we've got the Lohas Market. Those are our customers. We are partnering with some content providers, organizations that will help us get to the target market. And then our other connection is the nonprofit organizations. And that's really where we feel like we've got an opportunity, is if we can get the nonprofits to recognize that it's in their best interest to market us to their
participants. It's not going to work.
Okay, so that's our
great.
biggest challenge, and that's where we're looking at revamping our philanthropic model.
Nonprofits already are very inefficient organizations run by volunteers.
Okay.
With as thin staff as possible. They barely get what they need to get done. They're not going to market your product. It's an absolutely terrible go-to-market strategy.
Yeah, our intention was to provide them, agreed, our intention was to provide them with an opportunity to raise funds, and we've been continually disappointed by their inactivity, even though it's in their best interest. And to your point,
there are very, very specific strategies for marketing e-commerce businesses. We are extremely savvy in those strategies, and you just have to follow basically what everybody else does and map your product and your positioning and everything to that, define your customer segment, and roll out some of those, online marketing strategies and market to customers, recruit customers that way. That's the only way to do this. Don't go on this convoluted kind of route, none of which is going to pay off at all.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, we even at one point had a major campaign with the Nature Conservancy that has 1 million, paying members, and even with a very concerted cross promotion with them, it really didn't prove to be very economically successful. So you kind of answered our question as far as which direction we should move forward. This is our market segmentation, and this number one, I think. Sorry, back to the next slide. Nonprofit. So I think that is probably we've wasted some time trying to nurture our nonprofits.
Completely. And content partner marketing is not the way to look at it either. There's some very specific things you need to do in terms of getting content on your site, as well as working on guerrilla PR. It's not by, I don't know what you mean by content partner marketing, but there are very specific things you need to do on the content side as well to be able to do proper search engine optimization, as well as proper guerrilla PR. And I don't know, this content partner marketing is not the right terminology that captures either of those two. So I'm concerned that you may not be doing the right things there either.
Right. Yeah, I mean, one of the big pieces too is education and offering, some sort of eco-fact that goes along with each product. So also sort of creating that conversation, educating people as they're shopping. And when we are looking for a raise, it's basically to create more of a community feel on the site that actually is more interactive, dynamic, and really has the educational component that goes alongside the product. So that's kind of what we're looking at this point. And here we go, again, nonprofit partners. So it sounds like that's sort of, we're barking up the wrong tree.
Yep, you are. Okay, got it.
Great.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to spend a bit of time talking about 1M1M next. And before we go into that segment, I would like to request you to help us find 10 serious entrepreneurs into 1M1M. And what you saw today, it may be a very painful exercise for the entrepreneurs to get kind of, beaten up, so to speak, in front of other people. But really, you want to understand what the hell is not working right about your business in an environment where you have nothing at stake, right? You don't want to go with half-baked ideas and half-baked presentations to investors without really understanding what is it that you should be doing? What is it that you are supposed to be doing to close a deal? If you're talking to investors, if you're talking to channel partners, if you're talking to major, large customers, opportunities, and so forth, you want to really be as prepared for those as possible and really understand what you need to do to put one foot before the other in building your business. That's what we are trying to do in 1M1M, and we are successfully doing it with large numbers of entrepreneurs at this point all around the world. And you are in Colorado, I am in Silicon Valley. Yesterday at our private roundtable, the members-only roundtable, we had somebody from Estonia. And all of you, whether you're in Estonia or in Colorado or in Silicon Valley or in Malaysia, you have essentially, as entrepreneurs, the same issues. If you're trying to build an e-commerce business, there are certain specific steps you need to take to build an e-commerce business. If you're trying to build a B2B business where you're doing large-sized enterprise deals, there is a certain methodology of doing large-sized enterprise deals. So what we have done is brought all these methodologies together so that we can cut your learning time really short and help you avoid perfectly avoidable mistakes. We just went through a case study, right, of a go-to-market strategy that was completely the wrong go-to-market strategy, and we can very easily course correct this. This doesn't need to waste another 5 years. Within a few months of really practicing the right methodology and studying and understanding and executing on the right methodology, you can course correct, you can start generating revenues. This whole business can be turned on a dime very efficiently, very quickly. And that's what we want to do with you, with the Boulder, Colorado entrepreneur community. And Micah, this is what you need to bring to your entrepreneurs in Boulder so that we don't waste years, invaluable years of your life. This is what bugs me. In all the years that I've been in the entrepreneurship world, people waste years of their lives because there is no place to go to learn what they need to learn. And that's why we started 1M1M to begin with. So I will tell you a bit about what resources we've brought together for you that you can tap into very easily from wherever you are. This is a completely virtual program. You go to the 1M1M site, 1m1m.sramanamitra.com. That's where your journey begins if you want to explore 1M1M. In terms of the basic level of resources, we have a blog, which is at sramanamitra.com. It's chock full of case studies. It's full of case studies of entrepreneurs who have built all kinds of business, every kind of business. You name, we have case studies of how entrepreneurs are building those businesses, and you can learn a lot from those. In addition, we have synthesized some of those into a book series called Entrepreneur Journeys. That book series is available on Amazon and Kindle internationally. The book series has 4 volumes at this point, and in it, we have taken, in each volume, we've taken 12 to 16 case studies. We have synthesized methodology and exposed you to the concepts that you need to learn. Now, 2 very, very important concepts in there are bootstrapping and positioning. See, there was a time, a very brief period of entrepreneurship, which was in the late 90s during the dot-com bubble, when there was an environment where you walk into an investor's office with a concept, and they don't do very much due diligence. They just give you money, and then you get to play with it. That was a very brief period. The period did not end well. You know, this did not end well at all, and essentially what happened was we ended with the dot-com bubble burst. So as a result, this does not happen again. Today, you have to be very thorough, and you have to research all the parameters of your business very thoroughly before anybody was going to write you a check. So we know an enormous amount about financing, and we can, again, guide you through that process and get you ready for financing if your business is financeable. Not all businesses are financeable. You have to understand the dynamics of your business and pursue a financing strategy that is likely to turn into success, and not just spin in place and wait for something to happen that will never happen. It's like the waiting for Godot phenomenon. We don't want you to waste time, invaluable years of your life doing that, or months of your life doing that. So the other thing we have, which has been, we're on our 133rd roundtable right now. We have worked with thousands of entrepreneurs, and these free roundtables happen every week. In June, we've done, often twice a week roundtables, because we've had a lot of contests with our corporate partners happening as well. So this is a forum where you can get help free of charge, and you just, have to come with your concept and be willing to engage in this kind of discussion, and be willing to receive honest feedback, honest, experienced feedback. In addition, you've got the premium program, 1M1M premium program, which costs $1,000 in annual membership fee. And through that, we give you extensive methodology guidance in whichever area you're trying to build a business in. We have a curriculum which is delivered as case studies and video lectures. We help you with business development, connecting the dots with potential customers, channel partners, and investors where appropriate and where we have contacts. We have an extensive Rolodex of investors that we work with. And we have the kind of strategy consulting that you experience today. These kinds of strategy consulting sessions, more in-depth, happens in our premium lounge. The same format, it's the same kind of WebEx video conference format, but it's a members-only framework. So you can go to the website and start with a self-assessment. We provide you with a 9-point self-assessment, and we recommend that you take you through with that self-assessment. If you become a premium member, you also have curriculum modules to help you assist with the self-assessment. You will run into topics which you don't understand very well, and you can use the curriculum to plug your gaps in understanding of those areas. If you go to the top right corner, on the black bar, you have premium program and FAQ and video messages, video FAQs. You will have lots of information more information about the program, and you can learn what to expect from the premium program through that. Our methodology is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups. Bootstrapping is not optional. You have to bootstrap. Even if you want to raise money, at some point in your journey, you have to bootstrap the early stages of your startup, so that investors are willing to look at you. Without some level of validation, investors will not even look at you. So do not expect that a concept can get funded. So you have to understand this lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startup methodology today. Today's entrepreneurs have no choice. Now in the curriculum, we offer you 7 core modules. Those are bootstrapping, positioning, market sizing, customer validation, financing, customer acquisition, and team building. And no matter what business you're doing, you have to internalize these 7 aspects of a startup. You have no choice. You have to do all 7 of those. Then we help you with the elective modules, and this is where we have developed methodology, case studies, and curriculum material for different categories of businesses where we see the trends are today. Web 3.0 and e-commerce is a major trend. So if you're building a web business today, that's the methodology that we would have you follow. Cloud computing and business solutions, a very, very popular category. We see a lot of businesses in cloud computing, software as a service, and various infrastructure as a service, data as a service types of businesses. Outsourcing continues to be a major category. Mobile and social apps is a very big category today. Healthcare, IT, online education / educational technology, gaming, these are all huge categories today. We do not do as much work, even though these are parts of the trend. Clean tech is a big trend, but we do not do as much work in clean tech. Part of it is because clean tech is a very capital intensive business. If you're trying to build a solar farm or a water desalination plant, that is not what we do. Those are extremely capital intensive businesses that does not fall in the lean startup methodology, so that's not what we support today. Same goes for semiconductors and systems projects. So the curriculum is delivered as case studies and video lectures. We have, over the last 6 years, developed the most comprehensive collection of case studies of early stage entrepreneurship. And we have synthesized all that, and we have provided video lectures synthesizing those learnings and offered you a curriculum today that the core curriculum, you can get through it in about 50 hours. And then you can do 1, 2, 3, whatever number of elective modules you want to do with some additional time investments. But we have tried to compress this down into, it's essentially an MBA program in entrepreneurship, but it's very compressed and very affordable. And that's the whole goal of the program, is to train very large number of entrepreneurs in whatever they need to learn to become successful entrepreneurs in a very compressed time frame. Okay, upcoming free roundtables, we have July 5th is our 135th roundtable. No, that should be 134th, I think. July 12th is Click Workspace in Western Massachusetts. July 19th is a contest final. We do these contests essentially with various corporate partners. Certain entrepreneurs get awarded scholarships to go through 1M1M. So the ANN Media ELANS contest final is on July 19th. We already had 2 contest finals with them in June. And then July 26th, August 2nd are 2 more roundtables. You can avail of any of these roundtables to get feedback on your business. And that's pretty much what I have to offer you in terms of an overview of 1M1M. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. Micah, maybe you can come up and MC or facilitate the questions from the room. And if you're in the WebEx room, you can ask questions in the chat.
Thank you, Sramana. Does anyone have any questions?
I'm going to read out a question from that is for the presenter who's doing the rental clothing. Puneet Agarwal from the public chat is asking, how do they renew, wash, disinfect the clothes before they rent them out again? Just curious.
So we've partnered with a third-party independent cleaner that uses eco-solvents. All items are sent to that third party where they are professionally cleaned in non-perc chemicals, which have been found to harm both mother and baby, potentially. So eco-friendly, mother-friendly, baby-friendly chemicals, 100% cleaned by an independent source, and then put back in stock within 24 hours.
Right. All right, next question. Anybody else?
I don't think we have any questions in the room here.
All right. Well, very good then. We are ready to wrap up. Thank you, Michael, for hosting the session, and thank you to all the presenters. We enjoyed listening to what you're doing, and I hope you enjoyed the hard to take, but hopefully when you think back on it, hopefully it's going to be useful feedback. And by the way, you will have the recording available, so if you want to listen to it to parse the feedback more, you know, in a more relaxed environment, you can do that. That's why we publish the recordings. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you next week. Those of you who want to come back. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.